everybody. My name is James Leggett, and today I'm starting something new, interviewing people. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Sophie Methuen Turner and I'm an actor in Brighton.
No relation to Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones.
Sadly not.
Well, if nothing else, at least it was a terrible final season. But anyway, on to the interview. Question 1. How did you get into acting?
So that's a good question. When I was a child, I think I was quite shy and quite nervous. So my parents enrolled me in a drama class for children with the idea of building up my confidence and to help me sort of make new friends. And then it kind of grew from there. I quite quickly learned I was very interested in drama. So as I got older, I sort of developed that. Then I went to university where I read drama. Then I trained to be a drama teacher. And then I went to drama school. And here we are.
Okay. Question 2. How tough was COVID on your career?
So COVID was really tough. At the start of that year, so before the lockdowns and so on, I'd been successful. I was going to do Brighton Fringe, Manchester Fringe, which I'd never done, and Edinburgh Fringe. So the start of the year was looking brilliant. I can remember looking at the TV at the people in Italy and thinking, oh my God, these poor people, they've been affected by this bizarre thing called COVID, we must help. And I remember thinking, like, maybe I should raise money for them. And then people started saying, well, if it's in Italy, it's going to come here, right? And even then I was sort of like, no, no, no. And then it came here, and the impact on my career was originally quite catastrophic. I mean, clearly all those things, Brighton Fringe, Edinburgh Fringe, Manchester Fringe, they didn't happen. I suppose I developed a new skill. So I did a lot of performing online. So I did a lot of murder mysteries online. I read and created some children's stories. And I did some rehearsed readings. So I suppose it's fair to say the beginning of it was quite catastrophic. But once I'd developed my skills, I had to reevaluate everything. Once I got a tripod, lights, I was able to work remotely, which was quite eye-opening and quite scary at the same time.
Question 3. What's easier, on-screen acting or theatre acting?
Well, I suppose I trained in theatre acting. I had to perform every 3 weeks for a year. So because that's what I trained to do, I suppose I find theatre acting slightly easier. I find film acting slightly more difficult because you have to tone everything down so much. You're not thinking about the audience in quite the same way because they're not right in front of you.
Interesting. I would have thought that on screen would have been easier because of theatre you have to do it all in one go. Meanwhile, on screen you have multiple tries.
Yeah, some actors do say that. Some actors do find film acting easier in that regard, and also the fact, kind of what you said, but that like the audience are not in front of you, so you don't have to worry about whether they can hear you, whether they can see your expressions. There's that whole kind of thing about, in EastEnders when Phil Mitchell enters a pub and he's angry with somebody, all he has to do is walk in through the door and the actors start getting scared, you know? Whereas in the theatre, it just doesn't work. If somebody just walked on the stage, nobody would work out why they were so scared. So it's a completely different skill set.
Fair enough. Question 4. What has been your favourite role you've played?
So I enjoy all of the characters that I've played, and I suppose to some degree, I try to choose characters that are somehow slightly different to what I've done before. I think playing Princess Diana was quite a big moment for me, playing somebody so iconic was a massive deal for me. Equally, in the Maestro, I had to play the Contessa, and I got to meet the ancestors of the person I was playing. I enjoyed that in the Maestro because the Contessa, as I played her, was quite an old lady. So a lot of work had to go into how old people, very old people, might look, how they might move, what might affect the way that they sit. So I very much enjoyed both of those characters. That said, I've not really had a character that I've played that I've disliked playing.
Interesting. Now, where did you play Diana?
I played that at Castle Goring. So her friend, Lady Colin Campbell, wrote a play about their life and about their relationship together. And I was cast as Princess Diana. And we put it on in Lady C's castle, which is quite exciting.
Oh, castle. Is there a difference between a theatre, doing the thing in the theatre and the castle / on the improvised location?
Yeah. So again, that was quite interesting because it was basically, as I said, in a castle. So there was a big difference in terms of the stage, in terms of the lighting, where the audience was sitting. All of that was completely different.
Okay. Let's see. Question 5. What was your favourite on-set experience?
My favourite on-set experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I very much, I'm trying to think my favourite. So I very much enjoyed playing Princess Diana. I very much enjoyed the films that we've shot together, actually, James.
Yeah, save that for later. Save that for later.
Okay. Okay. I'll try not to talk too much about that then. Basically, I think I enjoy it when there's a good rapport between me and the other actors that goes on. So again, I enjoyed Princess Diana. I enjoyed the Maestro. I've enjoyed several of the murder mysteries that I've run and that I've been in. Basically, if there's a good camaraderie between you and the other actors, that makes it a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, I can attest to that from my own filming experience. Question 6.
And I think you've got to have a level of trust, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if it's people you've never met before, it can be somewhat tricky. But if it's like, hey, I've paid you to be here, be kind and stuff. So
you'd be surprised, though. You'd be surprised. You're being paid to be somewhere, and you can get some really challenging people.
And that's a nice segue to our next question. Worst on-set experience?
Okay. My worst on-set experience. So I was in a student film. They were I think they were very new students, so they were quite young. I'd taken the role because I wanted it for my showreel. And what they had told me that they were filming on and what the sound was going to be on was of high quality. So from my perspective, this was all going to go swimmingly. I'd learnt my lines. I'd done some research on my character, was all set to go. It took a lot longer than expected, presumably because they were very young kind of students. That wasn't a problem. You kind of expect that to some degree. I was waiting and waiting and waiting for the scene to come back. I was sort of thinking, should I mention it? Should I not mention it? Where is it? I need it for my show reel. Oh. And eventually I sort of plucked up the courage to mention, where is this scene? You know, and we're talking months later. And I got the message back. Oh, the bloke doing the sound didn't switch on the button, so there's no sound.
And they didn't have any sound from the camera?
Apparently not.
And did they pay you?
No.
Oh, what dicks! I mean, for context, everyone, I've always paid Sophie for everything we've done.
So I was obviously very, very upset by that. From my perspective, I'd wanted to help the students. That was part of it, was that I can remember how difficult it was when I was a student. I wanted to help them. Equally, I had really wanted that particular scene for my show reel, and it hadn't worked out. It wasn't, from my perspective, it wasn't only about the fact that, you know, the sound hadn't been turned on, because those kinds of things happen. I guess I was more upset that, like, nobody kind of told me and said, you know, shared what the issue was, and I just had to wait, you know.
And they didn't never ask you to do ADR, which probably would have been an easier solution.
No.
Damn. Do you know if they ever did anything else with the film, or?
I don't know. I never saw it. But I guess, again, that goes back to the previous question about working together, being part of a team. If we'd have had a proper sort of trusting relationship, then they could have taken me aside and said, hey, Sophie, there was a problem. You know, how do you feel about shooting it again? Could you do the ADR? I'm really sorry, there's a bit of a hold up.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you put these things down to experience, don't you? You know, there are certain things that certain people I might not work with again, you know.
Yeah. And that segues into the next question. What do you think is the difference between student filmmakers and professional filmmakers on set?
I think, generally speaking, as the term kind of suggests, if you're a student, you're training to be a professional. So how that might manifest is it might take you longer to shoot a scene than expected. Students might not have sort of call times. They might not have call sheets. Sometimes some students have ideas which it's not necessarily possible to do in terms of filming. Sometimes students have ideas like the script just isn't quite how you would write it. That said, a lot can be gained from working with students, and I particularly enjoy working with students who are further along within their degree, because they're fresh from learning things. They're not bogged down by anything. They've got to use their ideas and their concepts to create a film. So actually, you can quite often, from a student, get some very fresh ideas.
Interesting. Okay. Question 8. Is performing in theatre abroad any different from performing in the UK?
Good question. Yeah, very different. I don't know if it's an Italian thing, but when I performed in Italy, they offered us coffee an awful lot of times compared to being in England. Abroad, they seem to have slightly more formalized breaks than we have here. I mean, the general sort of setup is similar in terms of there's a stage, there's an audience, as well the way in which the audience kind of participate is slightly different. Usually it's more common here for people to book a ticket for something in advance, but in certain countries abroad it's more common for people to come on the night and for the publicity to be around. So that was quite a difference, to sort of work out that, you know, we've sold very few tickets, but actually that didn't mean that we wouldn't sell out, you know, because there I was sort of feeling quite anxious, thinking nobody's going to come, that, you know, we haven't sold many tickets. And actually it turned out that just wasn't the sort of the culture of being abroad. That wasn't how that particular country worked. So that was a difference, yeah.
Okay. Now, on to the most important question of all. How did you get involved with my films?
How did I get involved with your films? Well, that's a good question. I think you posted an ad on Brighton Actors Networking. So Brighton Actors Networking is a group on Facebook where people can put castings on there. You can put on their professional castings. You can put on there if you're a student. casting. It's quite a reliable resource, to be honest. There are some quite strict criteria about how you can go about casting things. For instance, if it's unpaid, you have to put in it that you are only looking for amateur actors. If you're putting on there that it's paid, you have to put how much you're paying. So to see a casting which is on Brighton Actors Networking and has been approved generally means the casting is going to be very good. So I saw the casting. I thought, okay, this is reasonable. All the sort of terms and conditions seemed fair enough. So I applied. Somehow or other, I managed to get the job.
Well, that's very simple because you were one of the only 2 people who responded to it before it got taken down for some reason.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Because originally what my plan was for Convictus, for those unaware, this was my 2nd year short film. My original plan was to go have 2 males be the leads and just get students from my year to do it. But then one of my teachers said, "Hey, you should consider doing professional actors." I thought, okay, so I posted on the Facebook, and then you said yes, and then somebody else said yes, but then they had to back out towards the last minute because they're from Manchester and just didn't work out. So I get someone else at the last minute. And delayed the shoot by like a day or 2, which was highly irritating. And also originally in the first film, your character was supposed to die. But then you said that you needed a black jumper, and after I said I just got one for my mum, you called me a genius, and I was like, I don't want to kill off someone who called me a genius before they even met me, so I rewrote it so your character survived.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
Yes, I remember that situation with that black jumper. Yes, you
And
needed me to have a black jumper. What's that?
You're wearing a black jumper now.
Yeah, well, this is more like a t-shirt.
Yeah, but still, quite the callback.
Yes, that was funny. I remember you said you wanted a black jumper, and I haven't got a black jumper. And it was kind of like, it's quite warm at the time. I remember looking around trying to find a black jumper. And yes, you're right, your mum had a black jumper that she kindly donated.
Yeah, along with the fake blood, which I think I have it here. Here we go. The fake blood.
Oh, lovely.
Yep, used it on the subsequent films, but onto that later. Anyway, so how is the 3-hour shoot?
A 3-hour shoot. Yes, it was great. I felt that we all got on rather well. The other actor was very nice. Yeah, from my point of view, everything seemed to be okay.
Yeah. Anyway, and of course, during on set, we discussed plans for the sequels, or at least the rough plans, and so.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the next thing we did. The next thing we did was my feature film, a series of random events. The 3-year sink pit, which took 3 years, and I cast you, and the day we shot was the final day of filming.
Yeah.
Or at least it was supposed to be, and until I realised the next day I was wearing the wrong trousers in one shot, so I had to do a quick reshoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was to show my character lay dead on the floor. It's a good thing that in the shot when you killed me, which was like that you couldn't see my trousers in shots, otherwise that would have been really awkward. So yeah, that was that.
So I suppose our story then about how we came to sort of work together and how we came to make the feature film then goes back to sort of talking about communicating, doesn't it? And communicating with directors and so on, and how important it is that within the industry it's as much about what you know as who you know as what you know, isn't it?
Yeah. We could have probably got the whole thing shot in 2 hours if I hadn't messed up the camera settings and put the file size for too big, so I'd go wait and ages for the thing to upload online. But hey, at least I got to show you on the footage from the film because it's a somewhat messy film. I will happily accept that. Many things I had to change due to me not being able to get most of the original actors back, which is why I got you because you were playing you were a semi recast of someone else, so that was interesting. Anyway, so months later, we finally got around to filming your next appearance, Conflict of Interest 3.
Yes, we did.
Oh man, and it was raining, so your hair had a unique red look to it.
Yeah, it's been difficult, that actually, the situation with my hair, because as the time has kind of gone on, I've kind of changed my hair a bit, you know. So I've kind of got more of a side fringe than I did in the first one. And equally, that kind of thing, the sort of continuity thing was quite difficult for me, because where we shot them a few months in advance, trying to remember what I probably would have worn several months ago, which accessories I would have worn, that kind of thing was quite difficult. And I think you had to change the script a bit, because I came out and I'd obviously misremembered, forgotten what I'd worn, and got various things wrong, you know.
Well, to be fair, I did put it in that your character had a massive hangover, and we'd already shot the post-credit scene for 4 during the production of 3, which is just you sit on the window here for those wondering. I mean, and on that bed right there, you got tied up for the first time ever, which must have been an interesting experience.
Oh yeah, I've never been tied up. That again, that was the most surreal experience of my life, because basically, well, I'm sure you remember this, but you tied me up and I literally couldn't get out. I couldn't get out at all.
And you were wearing a very nice catsuit and high heels as well to go with the look.
Yeah, yeah, but trying to get out of that was a nightmare, because I couldn't get out of it at all. And you can literally see me sort of trying to escape, and there's no acting involved in that at all, because I literally cannot escape from it. And I remember you saying to me, "Can you try harder to get out of it?" And I'm sort of like, well, I'm trying as hard as I can. I'm not pretending to try and get out of this. I'm stuck here until you let me out.
Oh.
But again, it was a good experience, because I'd never been tied up before. So
Yeah,
and yeah, I've never been tied up in a catsuit with high heels on either.
Yeah, compared to some of the stuff I've seen on the internet, that was pretty tame. So yeah. Anyway, and then the next one was Conflict of Interest 4, which was the first time that you met the recast character from the first film, because the actor was busy and had to go. And most of Conflict of Interest 2 is just explaining all that away and having the fight scene where he fought himself, courtesy of me. And of course you got to do a fight scene which is just.
Yeah.
Let's see, and then the final thing we've done so far as of the recording of this was the audio plays.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Yep, did you have fun recording them, since you just came here and recorded your lines briefly?
Yeah. So audio plays, again, they're completely different. It's a completely different skill set. So trying to record my part with no other actor, with nothing to sort of bounce off from, with no kind of visual stimulus for what's happening, is quite a challenge. But actually, it's something that I've really come to enjoy. I suppose as well, going back to the question about the pandemic, that was something else that I did throughout the pandemic. I used to make and be part of audio dramas. So yeah, trying to utilise that skill to still make it interesting and believable was really quite a challenge.
I mean, I suppose it was somewhat of an advantage in that it was it's okay. So one was so 2 are intercross, the Conflict of Interest 2 and 3, which have been released as of this recording, and then there's Conflict of Interest 0, which hasn't been released yet, but we have recorded your parts for it. So unless you're watching this interview after it's been released, but I digress. So was it easier than doing it on audio plays, because you'd already played the character on screen a few times, so you had an idea what they were like and stuff?
Yeah, I can see why that definitely helped, having done it on the screen. Yeah. But then again, doing it on the screen, most of the time I had a partner to bounce off, so that was slightly more difficult. And part of having on screen, part of the character, creating the character, was the costume and what they were wearing, and the difficulties of wearing high heels. And that wasn't there in the audio drama, so that made it slightly more challenging.
You must have been so happy to learn that you weren't filming them in live action. Other than the fact,
really?
Other than the fact I couldn't actually show a bank heist because there's no way I could afford to do that convincingly. But hey, your but at the same time, it takes place just before the first film, so you knew what your character was wearing and stuff. So that must have made it at least somewhat easier. For those unaware, and if so, why? But a spoiler warning at the start. Anyways, in that you've played two characters in my random verse: Charlotte Picker and her twin sister Rhea. Charlotte tries to be good, but thanks to a unfortunate drug incident, has become not that great because she's on the run from law. Because for some strange reason, they still insist marijuana should be illegal. And you know your character has only killed one person, and that was only because they tried to kill her because they were being mean to her and stuff. And then your other character was Rhea, and she was evil and killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Including one of my characters. I mean, okay, let's see. So in the feature film, first you killed Jack Brown, who looked like me. And then I killed you somewhat off screen because I didn't want you to risk getting injured or something. I mean, if I get injured, I don't care. But if somebody else gets injured, oh, I'd feel bad. So I just had you killed off screen. And then let's see. And then in Conflict of Interest 3, you pushed me out the window to get beaten up by a feral cat, and then got killed. And then you beat up my other character. Then my character knocked you unconscious, and that resulted in you then kicking him, and then he fell out the window, got nasty scratches, and then was like killed. But your character's already run off at that point. The characters are pretty even in the beating each other up / killing each other department.
We are.
So yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so this has been the interview with the lovely Sophie Methuen Turner. Thanks for watching the interview, everybody. Make sure you wave your hand when I say goodbye.